Hey there, welcome to ATL and 29, a podcast that looks at the NBA from the starting point of Atlanta. My name is Kevin Chouinard. I'm here with Glenn Willis and Tyler Jones on a Sunday evening after the Hawks defeated the Warriors. Uh, First game for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. And I wanted to ask you, Glenn, what did you see from McCollum in his first game, and how does his presence maybe change the roles for some of the other players on the bench?
Yeah, I think the primary one is Luke, right? We talked before about how Hawks were running a ton of two out for Luke and putting him on the ball. I think Luke is better off the ball. He's able to use a movement shooting off the ball. See, they ran, I don't know, felt like 20, 22 sets of two out for CJ tonight, getting to the paint constantly, getting those kickouts. And Luke was just, Luke has that feel to move to the soft spot on the perimeter, find that spot. And so I feel like the step number one is this is optimize Luke's role to where it should be. I feel like they had him on the ball too much earlier in the season, so I think that's going to work well. He's obviously had a great shooting night tonight. The other observation, and CJ's just a total pro. I mean, he's a great ball handler. He has even though he's not as quick as he was, say, 5 years ago or whatever it might be, he just knows what he's doing. He can execute whatever you need him to execute. Just a total pro in that sense. And watching Kispert, the thing for me is I think Kispert's going to be the one that has to get used to playing faster in the half court, and I thought that was a little bit of I could see kind of an adjustment for him in that sense tonight because in the half court the Hawks play. You can go look at their pace numbers, and the pace numbers is really just about number of possessions a game. It doesn't really tell you whether the pace is coming in transition, the pace is coming in the half court, or whatever. But the Hawks want movement, split cuts, moving the ball side to side, all that sort of stuff. I thought Kispert's going to have to probably just kind of adjust to just things going faster in the offense, in the half court offense than they were normally happening in Washington.
Tyler, what did you see from the new guys?
I mean, CJ just, it's kind of simple, but the ability to create for himself, uh, I know he wasn't efficient, but he had to be respected by the Warriors at all times because of his shot making ability, and it led to just easier outcomes for the Hawks on offense. He just makes he helped simplify the Hawks' decision making on offense. So that was good to see from him. Kispert, I mean, Kispert just looked unsure of where he was supposed to be, what he was doing on the floor. I think he'll get it though. I'm not too concerned about him. He had one play where he drove Steph Curry to the front of the rim and got a foul call, and that's kind of what he provides. Like beyond just the catch and shoot 3-point shooting, he is a bigger bodied basketball player, and he's very comfortable at taking smaller players to the front of the rim. So, like, hopefully he'll get some. Quinn's probably gonna give him some opportunity to earn some more playing time because I think he can help this Hawks team going forward.
I like what you said about, CJ McCollum can create for himself because there is no real need for it tonight. But the thing that I think I'm watching for most when it finally does happen is, when the Hawks end up in a game where it's tight the last 4 minutes and they're going up against a switching kind of defense. What does it look like with McCollum in there? Because I think that's an area where he can really help them.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. He has a ton of experience closing games and just being very responsible with the basketball, working the clock, knowing when to kind of press into, get the set going. Well, the interesting thing tonight is that you watch Trey over the years, and he'd want to, about 4 minutes ago, he'd really want to start kind of slowing the possessions down if they had a lead. Right. I don't think they're going to continue doing that anymore. I mean, that is something to think about doing. If you have say, a 14-point lead with 3 minutes to go, you could just take the air out of 20 seconds to your possession. You might not end up with the greatest shot because there's a trade-off that you're making there. But my guess, if you ask Quinn, like, are you going to continue kind of playing fast late in the game with a lead? Yeah, I still think he wants his team to kind of lean into that kind of, approach. They did tonight, but it'll be interesting to see how they settle in and if CJ's regularly part of the closing lineup because he has way more experience than anybody else in this roster handling the ball and initiating offense in crunch time across his career than like by far than anybody else on the roster.
I mean, isn't that the lineup now? Like, isn't the closing lineup going to be McCollum, Alexander Walker, Daniels, Okongwu, Jalen Johnson? Like, isn't that? I don't
Seems
know. To
right.
me, that seems like destiny.
Sure.
It depends. Because I can see there there might be certain matchups because you do see CJ shortcomings as a defender when he's guarding good basketball players. And then that lineup is pretty small overall. So I think it'll depend really on Shay's development here. If he makes some strides, I could see him overtaking CJ towards the end of the season. But in like currently right now, CJ is absolutely probably you have to say one of the guys you expect to be closing these games. But I mean, it's a testament to how well Nikhil Alexander-Walker's played this season. Like I mean, I know that's not who you're asking about, but like I mean, he's just been so impressive at all facets of the game. And I'm really happy for somebody like him to finally get an opportunity to show how talented he is as a basketball player. Uh, and my like what I'm hoping here is with CJ. CJ's just going to make the game of basketball a lot easier for him and Jalen in those crunch time situations. So that's kind of the blueprint. But I do want Quinn to be, Quinn's got to be like if he sees if you're going up against a team that's matchup hunting against CJ, he's got to be willing to bench him. Like that's just the one thing that I'm a little concerned about because to me the benefit of trading Trey even more than anything else is a willingness to bench that type of basketball player for defense and more often to close out games just to get some stops in the close the game out. So I think Quinn's just gonna have to Quinn's I think Quinn's gotten a little better handle of what he wants from his rotations going forward. So he's got more pieces to play with. I think it's going to be a lot of experimenting going on for the next couple of weeks or so. But I mean, overall, I'm excited for how this team looks and where they're headed. They're playing some great basketball.
Tyler, you were saying, I guess Friday, I think it was. You were talking about Dyson Daniels, and you were saying, how close he is to an all NBA player or a top 30 player or something along those lines. And I want to hear what your argument is there.
Oh, he needs a set jump shot, like a standard set three-pointer that would at least force defenders to play up on him because like the dribble, like particularly when he's guarded against bad defenders, and you saw against the Warriors when the Warriors tried to put post on him, or even Steph Curry, like he's getting 2 feet in the paint every time against weaker, bad, slow-footed defenders, and he's getting good layup attempts. Like he's probably and combined with his size, his touch with his floater, I really do believe like I honestly believe if he shot it the way he did last season from three, he's in all-star conversations because I mean the complete game is just there. Like he does everything. Like the defense is so special. Still, I know the steals aren't as high as they were, but like he's just such a transformative defensive player. And then offensively, he keeps the tires on the tracks. Like he's the nominal point guard for this Hawks team, and I really do think, and I think CJ is going to help him a lot as well. Like CJ's is going to help all of these guys. He's going to help Dyson Daniels. He's going to help Jalen Johnson. He's going to help Nikhil take a little bit more pressure off of them to get them, just to get them on, when a possession kind of breaks down, he's able to create for himself if he can get a mismatch. So I just think with somebody like CJ, it's going to force teams to even play worse defenders on Dyson. And if Dyson can continue to be aggressive, because in the first half, I thought of this game in particular, I thought he was letting the Warriors off the hook a little bit. And in the second half, I found that he was really taking it to uh to whoever was guarding him. He was really forcing the Warriors to play him fair. And that kind of opened up the game for everybody else. So like I mean, I've just been so impressed with everything Dyson's done these 1.5 seasons he's played as a Hawk. And I really do believe like if he could just get some type of set jump shot, doesn't have to be special, but like get to back to where he was as a catch and shoot jump shooter. I really do think he could be an all-star in this
Yeah, I agree with everything that you just said there about this game in terms of like the first half and the second half. And one of the things you said was he was getting quality looks at the rim or he was getting quality layups. And I do think that he did that in this game. I'm just wondering, like, and it probably goes hand in hand with him getting a little bit better at some kind of set shot or something. But like the one thing that I'm a little bit worried about is just the quality of looks that he can generate for himself at the rim. Like he's gotten so much better in terms of vision, passing, and maybe most of all, just like his ball handling, he is really solid dealing with pressure and getting 2 feet in the paint whenever there's a seam or a chance to do it. And so, making him the point guard is good. Having him set up his team, when he's maybe the weakest shooter on the floor, that's all good. The one thing that I'm worried about is just how good of a look can he generate for himself at the rim against a good defense. I
That's
just
the
think at
question.
certain times, like I think if you go back to like that San Antonio game 3 weeks ago, which was truly just a terrible game from the Hawks, but I think it kind of exposed like, hey, when Dyson's your creator and there's decent rim protection, like how good of a look can he actually create for himself? How worried do you have to be about him as a threat in the paint? And if you've got a reasonably good defense, I'm just a little bit worried about, what kind of look he can make there.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the big difference there is regular season. I think teams don't have as much time to kind of put into kind of game planning. The top tier coaching staffs will kind of figure out a way to keep them out of the paint, things like that. Sink bodies. You get to a playoff context where say the Hawks, I don't know, say they're 5, 6, 7 seed playing a top 4 seed or whatever it is. In that context, there's way more space to like realize like, okay, these are the three things Dyson really tries to get to all the time, and this is what we're going to try to take that away from him. And so I think the onus is on Quinn and the coaching staff and Dyson to kind of figure out how to continue to, you know, diversify his offensive skill set, be able to do a little bit more, have instead of just having an option A, option B, option C, to have maybe by the time you get the playoffs, he can do one or two other things besides what he's doing right now. He's getting downhill great. His floater is great. Getting to the backboard, it's great. All that sort of stuff, but everything gets like 5 times harder in playoff context.
the Hawks have already made one big move, and we're getting closer to the trade deadline. Is there another move that you would anticipate coming or not coming? Like, do you think there's something that's going to happen here before the trade deadline, or do you think that they're going to stand pat at this point?
I mean, if the Hawks could trade one of Kispert, uh, Kennard, though, I got some more thoughts on Kennard in a second. Kispert, Kennard, or even Vit Krejci for center. I, I think that's what they would try to do, but we'll see what the market is for that. I, I I just think to me, like overall, uh, if they can find that third center, there were rumors about Gafford. I think Gafford would be great for the Hawks just because he'd be a live body, offers a little bit more rim running, something the Hawks don't have on this team currently. He'll give them some more rim protection and size, particularly when Kristaps isn't playing. And I really think he do be a nice pairing next to Jalen to give Jalen that lob threat that he doesn't currently have right now. So I that's a good good place to start. The only thing I don't like is his contract. I think he's signed for 3 more years after this season. on a contract extension. And the thing about this position that they need, like to me, that would be like I would only do that trade if I can do it for Kisper, just because they have the same amount of years. Because they kind of they just need a stopgap for a season until they can go into off season and figure out what they want to do as center or whatever. Like I don't think they don't need a starting caliber center. They just need somebody to eat minutes if Chris is going to be hurt. Gafford makes a lot of sense, but like if next year you're going out and getting another center, like we're gonna invest a lot of money into the big man position. That seems a little much when center's the deepest position in the league right now, and a lot of teams are getting a lot of value from guys who aren't making that much money. So that's and the Hawks already have a good like it's not like the Hawks don't have a good center, multiple good centers on the roster. Just it's just that one of them's been hurt, and I mean both of them's been hurt. So that's kind of the real issue with this Hawks team right now.
What do you think about that one, Glenn? What do you feel about how likely the Hawks are to make a future move before the deadline?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this every year, right? It's every week by week by week, teams will start to kind of fall out of, kind of range of making the playoffs, and they'll look to sell off. And so there is a little bit of how the each conference kind of shakes out in that sense, in terms of who feels like, oh, we should become a seller. I know this, if anybody who calls and wants either one of those first round picks this year, I was just rereading all the conditions on the not the Pelicans Bucks pick, but there's like I don't know 11 different like it's like reading fine print on the contract. I can't quite figure out how that other pick is going to work out, but this is a totally stacked draft class. This next draft class is totally just it's one of the best classes we've seen in a while. I think honestly it's just going to hang on to both of those. I think anybody asks for either of those picks, just hang up. You're done. If you get to a team that's, bottom five in their conference and really have nothing to play for, and they might want to move some off of a contract or whatever. I still think this team needs another center. I believe that completely. They don't really have the roster spot now. They'd have to move somebody to create that spot for that now because I think they're at 15 now, right?
I
So,
mean, respectfully, they can cut.
Nico,
Yeah, they can cut Nico. Like,
yeah,
Or
yeah,
Dante. I mean, it's even if you
I would
plan
hold
on
on to
bringing
Dante.
Dante back, like if he's out for the season, like
yeah,
I would
yeah,
hold on to Dante. That contract is pretty good. I
yeah,
would,
yeah.
you know,
It's a 2 year.
no reason,
Primary
no
is a
reason,
2 year deal.
it's 2 year, my bad.
Yeah,
yeah, no
yeah,
reason to waste that. Like, no, because and he's a good player. Like, so I would just hold on to him. Hopefully, he's able to provide something next year. But Nico, Keaton Wallace, even now the Hawks have multiple guards. Like, he's not really
yeah,
providing much of
yeah.
anything going forward.
Yeah,
So,
current
like,
roster very
Yeah.
guard
yeah,
heavy, right? And so I think they've got to find some balance in a way to get, even if it's a guy who played the four and the five. But I mean, the thing they're lacking is a big center, like a guy with some, you know. I know there's some reports going around that they have some interest in Gafford. That might be dated information. Not sure. Just saw some of that somewhere today. I guess that was in Stein's piece, maybe. I can't remember which one that was in. I saw it in.
I think so.
Yeah, but I think, that's what I think this team is missing. I mean, they're gonna like wreck Anyeka, with the games that KP is missing, and hopefully he'll come back and play more. That would be helpful. But if you're going to go up against Zubac, you're going to go up against, the other big centers in the league. I think you need a third guy who just has some good size.
What are you expecting out of the Lakers coming up in a couple of days? Uh,
a lot of crying.
I, you didn't let me finish. I was gonna say they have a game in Sacramento tomorrow night, so it'll be the second half of a back-to-back in Los Angeles when the Hawks play them.
Yeah, I mean, JJ's expressed his absolute complete displeasure with his basketball team, so they don't seem to be in a very good place mentally. And I think JJ is really frustrated he can't get his team to play the way he wants them to play. Um, um, you know, so it'll be interesting to kind of see how that goes. Because a reminder, the Hawks had a skeleton crew when they played Atlanta and beat them handily.
Yeah, I
Any
mean,
thoughts?
I
Oh,
don't
go ahead, Tyler. Sorry.
Lakers. I don't know. Like they're a soft basketball team. I think you can if the Hawks play um, with the mindset that they've basically been playing all year when Trey is not on the floor. Like if they play that way, I think they're going to give themselves a good chance to pull out another win. Just because I think like the things they do well on both ends of the floor, the Lakers aren't equipped to handle. The off ball cutting movement on offense combined with the high, their guards pressure up on defense. Like they don't play any bad defenders that Luca in particular can hunt. They have size at the forward. Hopefully Zach is back, give him some more additional size. I think he was kind of missed this game, particularly with Jimmy Butler just really taking advantage of the smaller guard, the oftentimes the smaller guard lineups that the Hawks were putting out there. So hopefully Zach is back to help out there. Hopefully KP's back. Is the positive he hasn't played the last 2 games, but he's been listed as questionable instead of out. So hopefully that means he'll be fine going forward. But yeah, I just think the Hawks because they have to play with effort, focus, and intensity on both ends of the floor. That's kind of the bugaboo of the Lakers team. That they pretty much play like the Hawks used to play, where they rely on their offensive talent to carry them through games. And if they go through a bad slump on offense, you can really punish them in transition. Particularly with LeBron being 41 years old and Luca. You know, I don't know, man. Luca's the Lake. It's kind of been talked about. It was a bad trade by Dallas just because of the players they got back, but I do think, and I think a lot of teams are going to be looking to do this with these. I mean, honestly, I saw it with Steph Curry tonight. Like for as great as Steph Curry is, it was very easy to score on them when he's in the game. And like I just think a lot of these teams that have these guys who are on max contracts that are one-way players or like have to be helped on the other side of the floor. Like it's so hard to build a quality team now. Like it's so hard to build a contender when so much of your cap is going to a one-way player and that one-way player is not Nikola Jokic, So I do think the Lakers are in a bit of a quagmire here because I don't know how they're going to get better, get more talent. Because that's what were. If we're honest, people are like, what are the Lakers missing? Oh, they need this. I'm like, the problem is they don't have enough talent on their roster. Like they got
That's right.
they got a bunch of spare and used parts that they're getting as much. Like I feel like they're squeezing as much value as they can, but I just they're just not a very talented NBA team relative to where the league is now. Like they're relying on a lot of guys. Like they probably got one of the worst center rotations in the league. And it's just a very offensive heavy driven team without the defensive talent to kind of back them up.
Yeah, to me, like I think that's a better game for Kristaps Porzingis to play in than the Warriors game would have been tonight anyway.
Yep.
I thought the Hawks in this Warriors game did a good job of making sure that the Warriors screeners were guarded by good defenders so that anytime somebody was trying to sort of turn the corner coming around a screen, they could just play up high and take that angle away with a good defender, whether it was like Mo Gay on Jimmy Butler or Dyson guarding Draymond Green. Like it really kind of nullified the screening actions. And the Lakers, I don't think they're going to pose the same kind of threat in terms of like quick shooting or super fast driving where you have to be as high and as worried about that. So I think it's a better game to work Kristaps back into things a little bit if the Hawks were indeed trying to pick the game where that happens. I know Kristaps in Denver at shoot around, like he was kind of doing like some wind sprints up and down the sideline trying to test it out. So, I I guess he's still, feeling the issue, but hopefully Kristaps makes it back because I think he's a good part to plug back in against the Lakers the way they line up.
Agreed. Yeah, it's interesting what you're watching that lineup with Luke and CJ, and we kind of talked on Twitter about like playing those guys together. If you put the ball in the basket regularly, you can set your defense. You get yourself a chance on the other end. And that third quarter, that lineup was clicking, and so that's the thing is like if you miss shots, have to scramble back. Don't can't just have to match up how you can match up. That's going to be a problem, right? But if that group is putting the ball through the basket and getting back and being able to get matched up the way that you want to, it's kind of a different thing. I
Yeah,
don't think it makes it like a completely viable defensive lineup. But like I said, if you're giving your chance to set your defense, you're giving yourself a, I don't know, 20 to 30% chance increase for success chance after made shots.
yeah, but that kind of goes back to my point about, the Warriors. Because I mean, for as great as Steph still is, and like he's still good, but it's pretty noticeable when he's not able to get off these screens.
Yeah.
He can't really dribble and create for himself as well as he used to, particularly against better defenders. Combined with like just the lack of scoring threats on this Warriors team. Like, I mean, the Hawks put Mo like that run started with Mo being all Jimmy Butler and being like, all right, we're not, your grift's not going to work here, buddy. And like, who was going to hurt? Like, who was the most threatening basketball player Jimmy Butler was playing with Steph off the floor? I just think this Warriors team's kind of stuck, unfortunately. I don't know why Kaminga didn't play at all. I know they got some issues with the coaching, but I mean the lack of physical talent was apparent with the Warriors, and I think it's kind of similar situation with the Lakers. Uh, you, where it's just all right. It's Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves, but you compare that to what the Hawks are doing. Like everybody is a scoring threat. Like everybody's a legit scoring threat. Everybody's a legitimately good passer for their position. And I kind of think that's kind of where the league is headed now, where it's a more decentralized league where you need everybody to be a scoring threat to take advantage of whatever the opposition is lacking. Like you need a variety of options, and that's what was so impactful about the CJ trade overall is they didn't have that ISO scoring ability. Now they do. That forces teams to have to put a good perimeter defender on CJ McCollum, or he's going to eat them alive. And if you're doing that, that takes a good defender off Dyson. That makes Dyson's life a little easier. That makes Nikhil's life a little easier. And ultimately, that makes Jalen Johnson's life easier. Because, like, at the end of the day, Jalen's just oftentimes bigger than the guys who's guarding him. And, so teams have to naturally help off somebody to help at the rim against Jalen. Like, I really, like, to me, I'm seeing the vision a lot more clearly of what the Hawks want to do with CJ now, because I think he's going to really help with those scoring slumps that the Hawks were really going through when basically when Trey wasn't playing.
Is Jalen Johnson going to make the All-Star team?
You better.
Or is Jalen going to make it as a starter? Maybe that's the question. I don't know.
I mean, if you go look
You
at the
gotta,
voting, it doesn't look like he's has the popularity of like some of the other guys.
Now that vote only counts for 50%.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Okay.
But I mean, he's been one of the best. I mean, what I'm not going to say, 10 players in the East. Like, I mean, the offensive production is real. Now, anyone who, if you have to watch the Hawks every game to realize the defense is coming, the defense is getting a little better. There's still some consistency issues there, but he had a couple blocks tonight, which was great to see, in that sense and stuff like that. But I mean, offensively, non-Giannis category, which other power forward in the East is doing things he's doing? Like no one, literally no one. Um, and but he 100% deserves to be an all-star this year. Absolutely 100% deserves that. And it'll be a disappointment if he's not, I just can't think of like who, what other power forward has a stronger case. Like I said, non-Giannis category.
I mean, I can't see a scenario where Jalen's not an all-star.
Right.
So I haven't even thought about it. The more interesting question is, will Nikhil make it? Because I think Nikhil has a decent shot at being an all-star as well this year, considering everything he's provided for this Hawks team. But I don't think he's going to get in. But that's probably the more interesting uh, observation. I think if there's injuries and the Hawks go on a run here before the All-Star break, I think he has an outside shot of making it potentially as an injury replacement. If that, just because I mean his play, he's been incredible. I don't know if he's going to be front runner to win Most Improved either, but he should be in the conversation for that too because
Yeah. Huge step
uh,
up for him. And it's funny, like fans might be like, why are Dyson Stills down? One reason is that they put Nikhil on the ball a lot. Like Dyson was on the ball, like the only guy on the ball last year. Dyson can actually get a break on some possessions now, not have to be on the ball all the time. And who cares if that impacts him statistically? He needs to preserve his energy and have a chance to workload share that point of attack and primary defender kind of responsibility. And Nikhil gives them a chance to let them kind of swap back and forth in that role.
And that's a real thing. Like Dyson, if there was any knock that you could put on Dyson last season, it was, what did he look like the last week of the season? Like I think things wore down for him at the end just from everything that he had to do. And by the time the Hawks got to the end of the season, like he couldn't produce at the same level that he had. So
Yeah.
having Nikhil is an incredible luxury in that end.
Yeah. Yep, that workload he had last year was bonkers. Literally, no one else could do it. Literally, no one else on the team could do it.
And no one else was close either. Like if you look at some of the advanced numbers, like the numbers for like quality of opponent guarded, like he was lapping the field.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Like this is a weird team, a weird time. They've won three straight games. Like, is there anything else I'm missing here that I should be asking you about?
I don't think so. I think it's one of those kind of things like I think it's good that they're on the road. Like when you're at home, the players don't spend as much time together. You're on the road, there is more like going out to eat together and just, there's just a lot more connectivity when you're away from family. So I think from a timing with a trade standpoint, it's been good to kind of just have that, CJ, and Kispert kind of just be kind of welcomed into the team, all that sort of stuff, and kind of just have some chance to connect and have kind of dedicated time to talk through this is how we run this on offense, this is how we run this on defense, this is our concepts, these are our principles, et cetera. So in that sense, like I said, you make that trade and they got four straight home games, it's harder to kind of get that kind of same level of opportunity you get when you're on the road. And on the road, it's kind of a different thing where they are together a lot more. And I think that's going to hopefully help them integrate more quickly and efficiently.
Anything else you want to add here, Tyler?
no, let's see if the Hawks can. Like I said, I think they're going to go on a run here. Let's see if they can keep it up.
It's it's a funny time of year. Like I don't think enough people realize things like how much like illness can come into play once you get to like mid-January and the flu's going around. Like
Yep.
for Onyeka, he said a couple of days ago, he was like, "Yeah, I had it in that New York game." And he said, like, I probably shouldn't have even played that first Toronto game or the second one where, you know,
Yeah.
he didn't play well.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he was dying given that he sat out that Pelicans game afterward. I think Veets got a little touch of it now. There was some talk in Denver about how much Denver had gotten overcome by flu and illness. So it's, if the Hawks stay lucky, they'll keep it contained and it won't spread through the team like wildfire. But man, this stuff happens.
Yep. There's a nasty one going on around here in Seattle. Half my team's been sick with the flu. I had the flu this whole last week. And normally it's like I feel like it's like a 2-day thing, but this thing did not get accounted for in whatever vaccine I got and whenever I got it in September or whatever. This was not it for sure. And I'd do 3 hours of meetings in the morning, go sleep for 2.5 hours, come back and do 3 hours of meetings in the afternoon. Like it's been rough. But thankfully, I have clients that understand that, and a team, internal team, the firm I work for that understands it as well. But it's going around. Kids bring it home from work, school, parents take it to the workplace, and it's just, you can't avoid it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be the person in charge of trying to what do you call it? What's the word? I can't think of the word here. What do you call it when you isolate somebody who's sick? There's like a
Yeah,
Quarantine.
quarantine. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be the person in charge of quarantining sick players on an NBA team. They're all so crammed together. Like,
yeah,
it's a bad responsibility. Well, all right. More road trip coming. I'll check out the Skyhawks tomorrow night and let you know how that's looking. They won a game up
that's
in
good.
Michigan, so they
Yeah,
look pretty good in that game. We'll see. I'm
no, they,
enjoying the Bashir Jihad experience
yeah,
in College Park. Like the beginning of the season, I was like, why is this guy here? Like I don't get it. Like he just didn't look like he belonged even at the G League level. But I think they were playing him out of position. Like they were playing him as a power forward, and he's really a center. And so now he's the way the roster is shaken out now, they got Malik Williams playing at center, and they're giving Jihad a nice number of minutes at center, and he looks very competent as a role man. Like he's super physical, like boxing out under the boards. Like he's a big, strong kid, and uh, like I'm enjoying watching him play. I think there's something there. Like this is something if you watch the Skyhawks that they have lacked all season long, and to see him doing that will give them a competitive team because it feels like they've been a good team. That you look at the box score, they've got lots of stats, that lots of promising players, but they haven't been able to grind out wins. And I think it's because they just haven't been physical enough in the paint. And so now they have some of that. Now that he shifted into the right role, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. Plus, imagine if the Hawks promoted him to the parent club and you had a guy wearing a Jihad 11 jersey. Now picture that, because that's what he's wearing in College Park. Jihad 11. That'd be a jersey.
that'd be a
No,
jersey.
they can't do that. All right. Good night, Bob.
Good night, Bob.
Well,